It had been a long time since I had tasted this kind of pleasure. Shrine has first of all the great quality of being free when it's good enough to ask for money. We are dealing with a mod of Doom released as a standalone game. That is to say, the whole packaging is different, but of course, with the engine of Doom comes the feeling of Doom. What I love about this kind of game, and where Shrine shines, is the simplicity. First of all, not the slightest narrative pretension. Video games are a medium in which telling a story is inherently difficult, and it seems to me that the absolute minimalism is better than a pitiful plot seen 1,000 times before. Thus, as the game doesn't worry about telling a story, it becomes possible to focus on atmosphere and mood. Ultimately, it's an effective narrative medium in its own way, and which, above all, has the merit of merging with the interactivity specific to video games, because atmosphere is not told to the player, it is felt by the player. So in Shrine, as usual, we play a very tough and very vague protagonist who slaughters enemies by the hundreds. Here, the purposely primitive graphics works wonder. Weapons are biomechanical things that seem to come from Giger's work, and creatures with confusing shapes and jerky movements are eerie and indefinable. We stay at the technical level where imagination still has a lot of work to do, that everything is served on a plate under the pretext of realism. Look at this place, for example. So what does my imagination get from it? The environments oscillate between dark forests, steep cliffs and nightmarish medieval mazes, before gradually sinking into a more abstract horror fantasy. The unifying theme is that of religion. From the start, the monsters practice an enchanted cult. They have their chapels, their churches, a lot of them. Further on, there are Christian tombs, and the churches become cathedrals. We even come to face what looks like floating crucifixes coated in flesh. At the heart of a splendid library, an altar that vibrates with energy teleports us by surprise into another plane where we face a new entity of his cosmology. A monstrous angel, or an angelic monster, who makes organ sounds trying to exterminate us. The final adversary is an ancient god who rests in his unreal grove. I really like this choice. At the end of games, the temptation is most of the time to give to the player very hostile or impressive environments. Here, this unknown god decided to live in a forest with grass and trees. Can an evil entity really make such a choice? This is where I think about Lovecraft and his absence of manichaeism. This god is not bad, he is just different, unlike us. But we can understand that he likes to meditate under the trees, in the heart of his peaceful grove. It's a difficult confrontation, and in my second playthrough, we killed each other twice. I had just inflicted the final blow on this ancient god when one of his spinning projectiles hit me and finished me off. I want to see this at the real ending of Shrine. No victory, no triumph, just mutual destruction. It seems fitting. At the end, I get the impression of an inhuman life form intimately linked to Christianity. Either it is at the origin of earthly Christianity, or it has devoured it from the outside. Obviously, I really enjoy this kind of atmosphere. The soundtrack is also very effective, very atmospheric, often broken by the deafening sounds of weapons, but it can also be more rhythmic when necessary. I'm talking about aesthetics and atmosphere because that's what I'm looking for first and foremost. But to be clear, the gameplay is also incredibly efficient. Primitive, of course, but tense and intense. Sometimes it can be frustrating, especially because of the enemy animations, which are difficult to read, but nothing too serious. The level design used the classic recipe of closed doors and keys to find without ever becoming a complete maze. Shrine knew where to strike to stimulate the appropriate glands in my brain. I was absorbed for the 2 hours that the game lasts.